Canadians were waving the red and white proudly for the women on the field who were golden in Tokyo. But now here they are after a disappointing World Cup in a two-game playoff versus Jamaica for a spot at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Les Rouges have medaled at 3 straight games, 10 years of being a nation others feared at the global tournament. Will the reigning champions get a chance to defend their crown? We'll know after 180 minutes. And the clock starts now on OneSoccer. It's a quick turnaround for both Canada and Jamaica. The World Cup ended just 2 months ago, and now a trip to the Olympics is on the line. Jamaica made history, advancing to the round of 16 for the first time. Canada, a crushing performance that saw them go out in the group stage. We're taking you to Kingston, Jamaica, where everyone was given a scare last night by a 4.3 magnitude earthquake, but everyone is safe and ready to go. Hello, everyone, and welcome inside our OneSoccer studio. I'm your host, Andy Petrillo. You're watching Matchday Live, brought to you by CIBC. Canada in a last-ditch effort to qualify for the Paris Olympics. And this is a country who, after missing out on the first 3 editions, have been at the Games every time since 2008. 2008, they finished 8th. And then from there, we all know the story. Bronze, bronze, gold. But the reigning Olympic champions still have to qualify, and they're taking on an opponent who had a much different experience at the World Cup. And on that note, let me welcome in the panel Jess Lisi, former youth national player, and Carmelina Moscato, Olympic bronze medalist and Hall of Famer. So given the way Canada performed at the World Cup, and the way Jamaica did, this is recency bias, which is why I ask you, what is your level of concern?
My level of concern right now is quite high. I think at the end of the day, Canada hasn't been doing what they typically do well, very well. So we've seen them be a great defensive team over the past, many years. And they've really struggled defensively. They've been allowing a lot more goals than typical. And I think at the end of the day, we've always spoke about how they can't score goals. They're really struggling to score goals. So I just think that it's been a struggle all around the pitch for them right now. And that's why my concern level is quite high.
Bev Priestman even says that identity is defensively sound. A lot of us would even agree that's how they got that Olympic gold. Where are you with your level of concern, Carm?
Yeah, I guess the best way for me to describe it is through traffic lights. I mean, it's yellow to red at the minute, and the reason it's sort of edging in that direction is because I am going to go on the recency bias. I learned personally at this World Cup, and I think a lot of people did, that rankings don't matter. It's all about form, and what this team have been able to do in the last 6 weeks with very minimal preparation time, potentially trying some new things, if I'm alluding to Bev's interview, how that pays off tonight is yet to be seen. This team does have a history of bounce back ability. They have that memory. They understand what it means to come back and fight and be resilient. So we hope we see that. But what we didn't see in the World Cup was individual monster performances. You may not have everyone on their best night every night, but if they don't have at least 3 to 4 players doing that tonight, they're going to struggle.
We know that qualification for the Olympics has also changed as well. So if you go back to last summer in the CONCACAF Championship, it acted as a qualifier for both the Olympics and the World Cup. The Canadians obviously got it done in qualifying for the World Cup, but they had to win that tournament to get the automatic qualification to the Olympics, hence why they're now in this playoff, because they didn't win it. The Americans did. And yes, there's still a chance. There's always a chance. But based on what you just said about your level of concern, do you truly believe that the Canadians could miss out and not be at the Olympics for the first time since 2008?
You know what, I do. I think it's possible that they might miss out, but at the same time, I'm hopeful. We do know that this Canadian side is very capable, and I think, after a poor World Cup performance, that this might have ignited a fire under them, and we might see that Canadian side that we saw in the second half against Ireland. They did have something that they brought out. So I do think that they're very capable of qualifying, but there is, again, that level of concern just based on their recent performances.
Yeah, and if I look psychologically at the World Cup, they've actually never done super well other than 2003. We know that was a very 20 years ago. So with that being said, there was more to go and take, and this is a bit of more of a protection. They feel that the Olympics is their piece.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to protect, and I think we might see a different psychology and different behaviors as a result.
Well, and maybe a different formation, because a lot of the same players from the World Cup, Bev, called into camp. So we wondered, well, how is this going to be any different as we show you the starting 11 for Canada, brought to you by GE. She has made 4 changes when it comes to starters. Nichelle Prince, we know, was nursing injuries even when she came back to the World Cup, but she gets the start. We're going to see Sydney Collins as well. We'll get into the lineup here. Chloe Lacasse, this is somebody we wanted to see as a starter. She'll be there. And Jade Rose was also dealing with injury, not there at the World Cup, but she will get that start. And it appears to be a 3-5-2. I'm not saying I called this a few weeks ago, but maybe I called this a few weeks ago. What do you think Bev Priestman's trying to do here with this formation?
Well, first of all, I salute her because I think big risk, big reward potential here. 4 changes in the lineup that we see from the World Cup. We got some availability from some new players, notably Rose in the back line, being able to put her on. And if you have 3 center backs of that caliber, a 3-5-2 seems to be how you would want to set up against this sort of medium and low block Jamaican team. It allows you to break down structure a little bit more easily, numbers between the lines, and the way that this team likes to rotate. I think they'll have some success tonight breaking them down in this shape. A little bit of vulnerability on the counterattacks if they don't manage Jamaica's wingers, but they'll give up some space on the sides of those center backs, but otherwise I think it's quite clever.
Yeah, well, you know, and it's funny because a lot of people wondered, all right, 3-5-2, is this what's going to help them score goals? Because this is what we keep talking about. But you're right, there were a couple times there where if the opponent lobbed the ball over, maybe it looked like Vanessa Gilles or Kadisha Buchanan were out of place. But that was only because Ashley Lawrence was playing up high. Now that you know you're playing that back 3, you know exactly where you need to be.
I mean, for me, one of the things that stands out about this formation specifically is, you know, Bev has mentioned how she wants to utilize her athleticism on the flanks. Moving Lawrence up is obviously always a great move. I also think, you know, Lacasse coming into the mix, she's someone that brings so much energy. She is great. She's that little firecracker that you need to really go up the side of the field. So I do think that this could be good for Canada. I also think having a player like Leon and Prince up top there, they can create some good combination play. And again, I do think this will help Canada overall potentially create goals. Yeah, for me, I'm actually excited to see this.
Not for lack of trying. I mean, Bev Priestman's trying everything right now, between inserting different players in the starting 11 to just changing up the formation. Here's the starting 11 for Jamaica, brought to you by GE. And this is a team, as we know, who had, you know, by their standards, a really good World Cup, first time ever getting out of the group. But also, only 3 nations didn't concede during the group stage. They were one of them. So this was a team that was very strong defensively, but you know we're also going to focus a lot, of course, on Bunny Shaw. This is a player who they need to score, because as much as we talk about Jamaica's strong defensive play, they also struggled to score some goals. But I did want to show, you know, Canada has been very good against Jamaica, and we're not going to take anything away. There are a lot of people right now watching going, wait a second, the Canadians have dominated the Jamaicans, and they really have. When you look at their record, I mean, they've played them 9 times, all of them 9 wins, but more than anything, 60 goals they've scored, 1 goal they've conceded. I mean, this is, you know, Canada, to say they dominated Jamaica may even still be an understatement. They've completely owned them. But again, we're going to use the phrase recency bias, because you just look at how Jamaica performed at the World Cup. As mentioned, you know, we're talking about France here, Carm. This is a strong nation. They didn't allow them to score. You know, Brazil, they didn't allow them to score. That is such a creative tiki-taka kind of country, and they didn't allow them to score. And then it took Colombia, I mean, who was also a very strong nation. They only beat them by 1 goal. So what went well for them at the World Cup? What were you able to see?
Yeah, I'm going to add a little personal story. I was at the Brazil-Jamaica game live watching, and I remember feeling that this is a team that actually has one of the most clearest tactical identities of this World Cup. You saw that from other nations like South Africa. You do what you do well, and you're gonna get the result on the night. Very, you know, 6-3-1 in that game. They did anything they needed to do to stop that Brazilian team. Back to tonight, their tactical identity is understanding that they will not have the ball at all times. So they're very comfortable to defend. They're very comfortable that when they actually do get it, their transitions are sound, forward passes, forward runs, committed, willing runners. But this is not a team that's just going to play dump and run. They have the ability to possess. They want to go around, to go over. You're not going to see a through team. You're not going to see maybe pocket players as much, but they will try to isolate on the flank, pull you to one side, diagonal, and isolate. You see that from Jody Brown actually quite well. So all to say, Jamaica they've got a few tools. They do them super, super well, and that's what allowed them to be one of the best teams to watch at the World Cup.
Maybe not in game 1 because they are at home, so defense will be strong. But maybe in that second game it'll matter. How much pressure is on Bunny Shaw? This is somebody who has scored 55 goals in 41 games for country, 29 goals in 39 games for Manchester City. She can score. How much do you need to get that out of her? You
know, I think when you have a reputation like Bunny Shaw, you live up to that. She's probably going to come out and love the pressure that's on her. I think at the end of the day, yeah, the pressure is huge on her. But again, I do think she'll come out. I think she'll use her power. She'll use her ability in and around that 18. She's a very powerful, strong, fast player, and there are very few games that you watch Bunny Shaw and you're not really impressed. So I do think the pressure will be high, but I think she'll come out and live up to it.
All right, well, that's who the Canadians are taking on. We showed you their starting 11, Jamaica's starting 11, and also this is the first of 2 games. So the second game will be in Toronto at BMO Field. It is a sold-out crowd, thank you. Canada, 7 p.m. kickoff. We will be on location, really excited for that one, and then by the end of that one, we will also know Canada's fate. But it all starts here tonight, a solid performance against Jamaica, obviously a key goal on the road. We'll talk about that a little later on what we think will be a solid result here tonight. There's a look at Christine St. Clair as the teams continue to warm up. We are getting you set for kickoff between Jamaica and Canada, Olympic qualifiers from Kingston, Jamaica. Stay with us here. It's Matchday Live on OneSoccer.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the women's national team.
New degree advanced. First ever 72-hour nonstop protection with motion sense. Tested to the limit and proven.
Still feeling dry and fresh.
72-hour nonstop protection however much you move.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Toyota's electrified vehicles are for everyone. Every chauffeur, snack connoisseur, every scenery soaker, practical joker, every road tripper, toe dipper, every 9-to-5er, every long driver. Starting over 20 years ago with the Prius, we now have the largest lineup of electrified vehicles in Canada because this journey belongs to everyone.
How do you go from the best to the ultimate without breaking the bank? You choose the big, bold, ultimate taste of ultimate chicken sausages and hot dogs. Choose ultimate taste and value, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
It's Matchday Live presented by CIBC in Kingston, Jamaica. It is Canada visiting Jamaica, the first of 2 playoff games to qualify for the Paris Olympics. There's a look at Chloe Lacasse. She was asked about whether or not they needed to put the World Cup behind or use it as motivation.
I think it needs to be put to bed to some capacity. You don't want those types of bad vibes lingering going forward. I think everybody did what they needed to do, reflecting on that moment, knowing what we have to do going forward to improve on that. So yeah, we did what we had to in regards to the World Cup in terms of reflection, and now we know what's important. We have goals going forward, and they start here against Jamaica.
Welcome back to the show. Andy, Jess, Carm with you. And when I spoke to Bev Priestman earlier, she did talk about doing the reflections with all 23 players, speaking to them individually, going over things. She talked about how all the players took accountability as well. But they do seem to want to put that to bed. They want to turn the page. Of course, we keep wanting to talk about it because it also just wasn't that long ago. Carm, you're a manager. You're a winning manager. Yeah. How do you address the team? How do you get them to reset and refocus when, even though we talk about putting the World Cup behind, it was just like 6 weeks ago? Yeah, it's heavy. I mean, but these players are in high-level club environments as well, where you'll lose a big cup final, and then they have to turn around and win the next league game. It's part of the routines of what they actually do. I think the World Cup obviously had a lot more weight. You saw that the players, from a social media perspective, apologizing. That level of pressure and scrutiny and expectation that they were carrying was quite significant. I wouldn't compare it to an FA Cup loss. It's a little bit more than that. All to say, as a high performer, the best ones in the world are able to then reframe,
put the process back in track. And what I like about what Bev's done tonight is that there is something new to focus on, a new formation, some new competition in different positions. So players are maybe uncomfortable, and they need to be a little bit uncomfortable to perform. You know, you might have seen some of the same selections a little bit in the World Cup that she might have done in the past. So now it's different. It's shaking things up. My hope is that, you know, the players, especially Jessie Fleming, we haven't spoken about her tonight enough, in my opinion, in the sense that she needs to have a monster game for this team to do well.
She's wearing the captain's armband. You just saw Christine St. Clair and Jordan Heidema there. Neither of them are going to be in the starting 11 here tonight, and that's part of Bev making these changes.
Yeah, you know, I think this is a side that, again, is very capable. We saw them almost look deflated at the World Cup, which is not something we're typically used to seeing. They're a very resilient side, and I think the biggest thing for them tonight is really focusing on what they can control, and that's the effort and the mentality that you're bringing. Because, again, we know these players are very capable. They have, in the past, brought that resilience from minute 1 to 90, and we didn't see that at the World Cup. So I think tonight, as long as they come in with that winning mentality and, you know, the fire lit under them, then this could be a good matchup for them.
What do you make of Bev looking at the past and saying 2011, dismal, 2012 coming back, getting the bronze, 2015 it was a home World Cup and quarterfinals, but just disappointing because it's a home World Cup. 2016, once again, medaling at the Olympics. 2019 World Cup, you know, doesn't go your way. Now you're Olympic champions. You know, I know it's history, and I know sometimes it's a different lineup, but what do you make of Bev? I mean, she's told it to us, so you know she wants to use that as motivation with the team.
Yeah, I'm going to put it out there. I believe in Bev massively. I've seen her do this. She's proven herself with that gold medal back when she did that in 21 in Tokyo. All to say, though, you know, I mean, the amount of time is really the differentiating factor for me. When you look at all those campaigns, there was significant months in between to then reframe, reselect, get into form, new concepts. They've had a few days. 6 weeks to reflect and a few days to get this right. So there is a bit of, I see this as I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm holding my breath a little bit. I hope it comes together for them. But I don't see it as the same bounce back because of the time period.
Yeah, and some changes. We know Sophie Schmidt has retired from international play. Desiree Scott still dealing with injury. Chapman is not here either. And then we know Jade Revere and Deanne Rose left this camp with injury. So there's a lot that comes your way, and many will say, it's the world of sport. But I do want to ask you this. You know, as we know, aggregate and everything matters. So they're on the road to start. Maybe I'll start with you first. What would be considered a good result for Canada here tonight?
You know, I think obviously the win. They need to get potentially that first goal. They really need to silence a hometown Jamaica. I think at the end of the day, playing anywhere away is difficult. You obviously have, the other team has that home field advantage. So I do think that Canada, for their own sake of confidence, as well as just maybe shushing that crowd and really, you know, demanding that stadium to respect them is the biggest thing. So I would say obviously a win, but I think getting that first goal will be really important.
Yeah, fully agree with you there, Jess. I think there's also something about momentum going into the second game, which with such a short turnaround. We haven't mentioned tonight around set pieces and the impact of that too. They haven't scored an open play in 11 games. So, you know, set pieces will factor in, the away goal, and having a shutout, having a clean sheet tonight will be big for the confidence and the identity of the team coming back to what they do well. Based on what you said earlier, they need to do that tonight. No goals conceded, 1 away goal, 2 set pieces, let's go.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of check marks that we can give of what we want to see, but if you could get even a 1-0 victory, you're going home pretty happy. Because normally they would just say even a draw 0-0, but in this particular case, you don't want to go home knowing that you didn't get that away goal or even didn't get that win. The fans are coming on in. What's he selling over there? Maybe we're getting a little hungry over here. It is hot in Jamaica. We are getting set for kickoff. Canada, Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica, here on OneSoccer. Stay with us.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
We created Carlsberg 0-0 because even the best things can be better with alcohol-free beer. Clean one-handed backhand is better. Balancing stuff is better. Whatever this is better. We created Carlsberg. Skipping your own ad is better. Parking in space, better. So, can the best alcohol-free beer make good things better? Probably.
Visa, proud sponsor of the Canadian women's national team.
Think you've seen tough? You've seen nothing. When you're absolutely drenched and still take the final shot? Not even a challenge. Playing extra time under the beating hot sun. Hardly sweating. When the wind's so chilling it cuts to the bone? Now we're getting somewhere. Playing in Canada's tough. We're not sorry about it. Want to beat us? Come on. We're made for this.
This match is brought to you by CIBC, Canada Soccer's lead partner.
Welcome back to OneSoccer. There's a live look. Kingston, Jamaica, getting set for kickoff between Canada and Jamaica, the first of two qualifiers for the Paris 2024 Olympics. We were just talking about what would be considered a good result. Carm, obviously a win feels pretty obvious here, but what else do you want to see from Canada?
Yeah, I'd love to see an open play goal tonight, one or two. But what I like about what we're going to see tonight is Leon and Prince. That's something we haven't seen in some time, and their partnership and how Jesse can feed and how those wing backs potentially can join the play in overload. So for me, I'm very excited to see Leon play in a more central position. She did that anyway as a winger, inverting quite a bit, but now she gets to work with a partnership. So let's see an open play goal, and they have to be able to score. There's 33% of their goals in Tokyo were based on set, or 0 in Tokyo were based on set pieces, and then since then 33%, none in the World Cup. So let's see if that work that they've been doing on set pieces can pay off tonight, because sometimes that's just the difference.
Yeah, not to put a lot of pressure on just one particular player, but Chloe Lacasse really caught the eye of a lot of people, including us. I know, Jess, when we were doing our show, Good Night New Zealand, Australia, we said, hey, wouldn't it be great to see her in the starting 11? She is in the starting 11. She's now with Arsenal, getting in some great experience there. What do we expect? Like, what would you like to see from Chloe?
I mean, yeah, I think Chloe Lacasse has really earned that starting position, right? I don't think anyone has really solidified their spot across the front three. Again, they haven't been scoring goals. So I think this is a great opportunity for her. Again, she's a player that is able to go at people. She's able to get the ball in the box, but she's also able to finish. Obviously, we haven't seen that on the world stage as of yet, but she is very capable. So I'm excited to see this new partnership between her and Jade Rose, or between her and Nichelle Prince or Leon up front. I'm just excited to really see all of these players and their new partnerships come together tonight.
I'm curious to know, as a manager, so here she is trying a new formation, 3-5-2. If it doesn't work, how quickly do you change things up again?
Yeah, she's going to have plan B ready in one word. And they'll know right away what they need to do to get into a different formation. And I would love to see what that looks like. But right now, I think she's gone all in at least for 45 minutes.
What's that safe word? I'd love to know maybe some of the words you've
safe
come up
word.
with. Just to change it up. There we go. We are getting set now. It is Canada, Jamaica with the call. Adam Jenkins, Eva Havares, you hear them after the national anthem, and in French, Matt Cullen. Enjoy the first half. We'll see you at halftime.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Canada to be followed by the national anthem of Jamaica. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for today's game.
Good evening, Canada, and welcome to Independence Park and the National Stadium here in Kingston, Jamaica, a venue that has been around since the 1966 British Empire and Commonwealth Games. It was a tournament that saw Canada win 57 medals, 14 of them golds. And gold is a color that Canada is thinking about a lot, especially as we enter this pivotal two-match series to qualify for CONCACAF